Hi,
Hi.
beautiful. How are you?
I'm doing really well.
That's good. So good to see you.
Good to see you too. You doing good?
Yes, I'm as best I can, right?
Yeah.
The last time I saw you was at the Spirit Awards on the carpet, you and Tiffany.
We had so much fun. That was the best day.
The weather was
Yeah.
perfect. It was a good day that day. And then right after that, the pandemic hit like a few weeks later.
I know. It was one of the last events that I went to. And I just remember we were there all day.
Yes,
And it was just so much fun seeing everybody. And yeah, I miss it.
I know.
So
Tell me about it. That was like I think I had one more carpet after that, and then that was a wrap.
that
Everything
was a
shut down.
wrap.
It's crazy. How have you, speaking of COVID and the whole pandemic, how have you been managing like your mental health in the midst of this pandemic?
Oh gosh. Well, Um, I think, like most of us collectively, we've all been going through the different stages of the grief around this and
Hmm.
um, the shock and the panic
Right.
and the uncertainty. I really just kind of take it moment to moment. If I'm having a bad day, I let myself have that day.
Right.
I think I'm becoming really good at uh, exerting those boundaries with people, even in my workspace,
Hmm.
and with my family for sure.
Right.
But yeah, there have been days where I've had to really just take the day and just say, I can't reply to that. I'm just overwhelmed.
Right.
And then there have been days where I've been like so pumped, so excited about everything that's happening, just really happy to have the time with my family.
Hmm.
Um, I call it a slow roller coaster.
Right.
So, each feeling is just will surprise you.
I I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, definitely been a slow roller coaster for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Let's jump right into it, Numa. So you're from Haiti, but you were raised in Washington State. Is that right?
Yes, close. Washington State, also Oregon,
Mm-hmm.
small town California, South Carolina,
Oh,
Georgia. My family moved around a lot, but when we lived in Washington State, I have a lot of strong memories there because we lived on a farm during that time, and it was the only place that we stayed more than 3 years.
oh.
So yeah, we were always moving. Every 1 to 2 years, we were gone.
Mm-hmm.
Except for that farm. We were there for almost 4 years. So I just remember it really strongly.
And then you were adopted at 2 years old. Talk to us a little bit about how your childhood has informed the stories that you tell now through your work.
Well, I definitely think about that a lot because that was the first milestone, I think, other than being born.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're born and then you're moved from everything that you know into this new family. Even though I don't have any memory of that,
Mm-hmm.
it has had a very strong impact on me, and
Right.
I'm always trying to understand what that all means,
Right.
what this kind of fragmented existence is,
Right.
relating to one culture, also relating to the culture that I'm born from, but
Right.
not from memory, just from what I feel in my blood and what
Mm-hmm.
things that I'm drawn to. So
Mm-hmm.
I think all of that is always dripping into my work. And I'm also focused on it in my work. So I just think that's where the themes of Black women identity come from,
Mm-hmm.
um, and the femininity. I think a
Yeah.
lot of that is me having to had I had to kind of shape myself as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
shape what my idea of that identity is for myself, and a lot of that goes into my work as well. So I think it's a defining moment that will always have a place in the work that I do.
Right. And then, Numa, at what point along this, being on the farm in Washington State and then just growing up and evolving and becoming the woman that you are today, at what point along that journey do you decide that you want to tell stories as a career for a living, that you want to write, you want to direct, and you want to act and star in the projects that you create? At what point
Mhm.
along your journey do you decide that this is what you want to do?
At a very young age, probably
Mm-hmm.
7 years old,
Mm-hmm.
I already knew that I wanted to be an actor. I was already a writer. You cannot tell me that I wasn't. I was writing books and writing stories and writing plays.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was fantasizing about directing because I'd seen directors in my school for plays,
Right.
and I had worked so much on the stage that I knew what a director in theater did, but I didn't really know what a director in film did.
Right.
But I was just naturally moving towards that because I've always loved photography. I've been a self-taught photographer forever. um, I've always loved all the aspects of filmmaking and directing, but that slowly, the realization that that is part of my career path
Mm-hmm.
came more as a young adult when I was studying theater and learning about cameras that film,
Right.
rather than still cameras. My interest in it broadened, and then I really fell in love with it as well. So, but it all started from childhood. So I always knew it's just only expanded the more that I experience.
I feel the same way. For me, the same thing. When I was
Yeah.
younger, I knew I had an inkling, like I felt it. So I think you do know kind of early on, like what it is that you're in, what your interests are, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
for sure. Um, you started out in the YouTube space with Black and Sexy TV. You were
Mm-hmm.
writing, starring, and producing for several web series. I mean, I was the couple. I was really into that. Talk to us about how working in that space prepared you for producing and directing your feature film Jezebel, which we're going to get into next.
Oh, awesome. Well, it definitely laid a lot of my foundation,
Mm-hmm.
although I had made several short films before I joined the Black and Sexy Collective. It was really during those years that I was always in a state of production. So I was either in pre-production on one show, in a writer's room on another show, actually going on set and directing or acting in another show, all at the same time, all the time for
Mm-hmm.
years.
Wow.
um, with very little breaks or time off, just completely churning that machine, being part of the mechanics of that and the artistry of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it only helped to define my voice, to give me confidence and experience, and just ignite my passion for filmmaking even more. Also being so close to our fans and community that supported everything was
Mm-hmm.
a really big piece of it for me,
Mm-hmm.
that I still really love and that I want to be able to continue that somehow.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it made me feel like it was really possible to make my film, and that I had a network of people around me that would support me in getting it made, but also in watching it and being excited about it and spreading the word about it. So, all of those, that's like a really big chapter of my
Yeah.
career, that has definitely led to this next chapter. So,
And then
yeah, very foundational.
let me ask you, Numa, about that. It's not on my notes, but I have to just ask about that process of, you were doing the web series before you joined the Black and Sexy TV Collective. What pushed you? What was the driving force for you to say you're not waiting on a network to come and give you an opportunity? You're going to go ahead and get busy about the work that it is that you want to do and put it out there. Whether it's
Mhm.
good, whether it's bad, whatever, it's your work. I'm going to put it out there. What was the driving force behind you not to sit back and wait for permission for anybody to say, hey,
Yeah,
do it
I,
like
I
this?
really just think it's impatience and
Mhm.
vision
Right.
both together. I had these ideas of what Black and Sexy could be if we just utilized the platforms that we had at hand. I felt confident that if one person liked it, then that could multiply to 2 people, to 4 people, to 8 people. I always felt confident that we could stir up momentum and
Mm-hmm.
keep it going. And I'm a person who I love momentum.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm never going to wait on people. You know, when I do fall into that trap, sometimes of waiting on something, and then I just remember, oh, that's why I'm feeling icky because I'm waiting on an answer for this. I'm waiting on, you know, a return email to that. I don't need to wait on anything.
Right.
Just do what you can, you know, with what you have, you know,
Yes.
which is that very popular saying, but that's just always been me. Again, since I was a kid, I was, you know, writing and making up stuff and doing it just for the joy of it.
Right.
And that's just something that I think I'll always do. And it's informed, you know, this kind of idea of being a pioneer in all these spaces because I'm not afraid to go out and try something first, especially if I have a strong feeling about it. And I always had a strong feeling about how big doing something in the virtual space could really go.
Right. And so, what advice would you give to those who are watching who have stories that they're sitting on or content that they're sitting on, but they're maybe waiting for the email? They're waiting for permission. What advice would you give them in regards to putting their content out?
Exactly what I just said. Just
Mm-hmm.
do it anyway.
Yeah.
There is nothing that I have that I didn't get from taking the initiative first. You know, even if it seems like that people came to me, it's because they're aware of what I did before that
Right.
I took the initiative of. You know,
Right.
so that's really how those dominoes roll. Everybody's different. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think that that piece of advice applies to everyone,
Right.
but I think it applies to more people than not, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that are
Mm-hmm.
feeling stuck and that are feeling, you know, like they are getting the short end of the stick, even though they feel like they're really talented. You know, I look at so many actors and filmmakers like that all the time, and I'm just say, well, why, you know, if you feel that strongly about it, then make something of your own, showcase yourself. If the space doesn't exist, create the space,
Right.
you know, and I've just always felt really strongly about that, probably also as a reaction to not being invited to a lot of spaces.
Right.
You know, even if the landscape is loosening up in a certain way, um, that's not a good feeling to feel like, oh, you're just not invited. So just flip it around. You be the one that's inviting.
Exactly. Yep.
You send the invitations. You get the people to come through, you know, for the thing. So I like the way that feels a lot better than the waiting side.
I agree. I agree. Let's get into Jezebel. The film just debuted on January 16th on Netflix. The
Hmm.
film cost you 150,000 to make. Is that right?
15.
Okay,
15.
15,000. One five.
115.
Oh wow. One.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So I thought it
So
was
low
150.
six figures, which is, you know, about right for a scrappy indie film.
Wow. And yeah, but a scrappy indie film that like raised the bar and told a beautiful story, your true story.
Thank
Let
you.
me ask you about this funding, 115,000. Did you
Hmm.
already have funding? And if not, what was your process to go about getting funding to fund this
Hmm.
project?
Well, I had $0 to
Mm-hmm.
start, zero.
Girl.
We started with zero, but then my sister uh, offered to give some money towards she's never made a film before. She's not in this industry, but she's seen me working hard, you know, for a long time
Mm-hmm.
and had a little extra and wanted to spread it my way, you know. So kind of similar to the film, she stepped up and was, you know, saw a need and was taking care of me. And she funded the first leg of the film, so about the first 30K,
Wow.
which got us all to Las Vegas, got us our equipment insured, our equipment rented, our cast and crew paid. You
That's a
know, everyone
blessing.
had, you know, their own hotel room. You know, I got to feed everybody decently. And then I did a crowdfunding for the next chunk of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that crowdfunding over a period of months.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped me pay post-production crew along the way.
Right.
And the last chunk, once the film was accepted, was selected by South by Southwest,
Yes.
then you have to polish your film and make sure that it sounds really great for a big theater and that it looks really great. So the final coloring, the final post sound,
Mm-hmm.
our publicist, and getting our team hotels in Austin, which is not cheap,
Right.
that was the last chunk of the budget. So when I talk about the budget, I'm talking about from A to Z, from what the first shot we took all the way to premiering at South by.
Wow. And speaking of South by Southwest, so you guys showed there in 2017, is that right? And
2019, last year.
2019.
Mm-hmm.
And so the film was made in 2017, but you showed it
Mm-hmm.
at South by in 2019. Talk to us about how important that festival was to you, because you guys then got picked up by Ava's company, Array. Talk to us about how important it was to show there.
Well, again, it's momentum. So
Mm-hmm.
that thing I love.
Right.
And a huge festival like South by Southwest
Mm-hmm.
is going to give you a lot of momentum, and then it's on you to amplify
Right.
and milk that momentum as much as you can. And we were ready. My whole team was ready, and I told them from the beginning. I said, "Stay ready, because I know me, and I know how I go. When
Mm-hmm.
when I start feeling that momentum, we're gonna run." So it was the perfect matchup, South by and us. And even the programmers at South by were saying it was kind of a microcosm of what you hear in Hollywood, that
Mm-hmm.
they were impressed by how well the film performed because we sold out every venue that they gave us. They
Wow.
had to give us an extra venue. And though they were fans of the film and excited about the film, and
Mm-hmm.
it was a great thing for us,
Right.
we outdid their expectations.
Wow.
And so that was, something that was remarkable to me, but we just never let up from there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still riding that momentum.
As you
So,
should, you deserve
yeah,
to.
a lot of places took notice of the film. There was a lot of buzz around it. A
Right.
lot of people were reaching out, you know, to see if they could distribute, but the perfect fit was definitely Array,
Wow. And
Ava's
so how did you
company.
find that out? Like, is it after the festival that you find out that Array wants to pick it up, or did you find out while you're there?
Well, again, you don't really find out because you're making it happen.
Right.
So, people are reaching out to me and
Mm-hmm.
my team, but I'm also with my team reaching
Right.
out to distributors. And so Array was a distributor that we had reached out to
Mm-hmm.
and sent the link to the film for their
Mm-hmm.
review.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did find out in a really lovely way. A few weeks later, I got a phone call from Ava DuVernay saying
Right.
that they loved the film and wanted to distribute it. So I did find out in a really cool way, and I really will never forget that phone call. It was really something of her to pick up the phone personally, but
Wow.
that's how they handle their films. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
very personal, very hands-on, the way I like it, and the
Right.
way that our films need to be cared for.
Right.
So I'm really, really happy. I couldn't have a better experience with that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's again a combination of, the momentum that's happening. They're paying attention, everyone's paying attention.
Right.
And at the same time, you got to be on it and thinking about who do you want to send the film to and where do you think a good place would be for it to land. And then eventually it all lines up.
Girl, and it lined up because this film, when I saw you guys at the Spirit Awards, I was so excited. I was like, I just watched this. I love this. It was so, so good.
Thank
For
you.
those who haven't watched it, Jezebel follows your true life story when you were living in Vegas with your sister, and it follows your work as a sex worker.
Hmm.
And this is after your mom dies that you
Hmm.
pick up this job and have to kind of make ends meet. Talk to us, Numa, a little bit about why it was important for you to tell your own story, to tell your true story in the way that you did.
Yes, very important to me
Yeah.
to tell that story because one, I know no one else has that story. If I didn't tell it, it would have never been told. So
Right.
I'm really proud of the fact that it's out there for the people who may need it for whatever reason. It's
Yeah.
there for them. You
Yeah.
know, if there's something in that story for you, it's now available for you to sink your teeth into and relate to my experience. So that's something that feels really good. Uh, the experience of being a cam girl, one of the first, you know, in the early days of the internet,
Mm-hmm.
uh, having that experience, living with my sister under those conditions, grieving for our mother, all of that happening at the same time. Uh, I always felt like it was just a good story to tell, but I knew that I needed the distance from it.
Right.
And I needed to figure out a few things. When I first had the idea of Jezebel being a movie,
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't firmly cemented in the idea of me being a director. You
Okay.
know, I was still exploring photography, exploring other art mediums,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just didn't know how the film would get made. I just had an idea of
Right.
it being made one day. And then, you know, as my career and artistry has unfolded, I
Mm-hmm.
realized not only am I going to get this film made, but I'm going to direct it. I'm
And you're
going to
gonna
play
star
my
in it.
sister.
Yes.
I'm going to star in it,
Yes.
co-star with Tiffany Tennille,
Right.
and just really have myself rub myself all over it. You know, just really be in it. But it was a process. It was definitely a process, and I think that we all have some secret story, you know,
Yes.
maybe not a sex worker, but maybe, you know,
Something.
some secret story
Mm-hmm.
that would actually be really important to document,
Right.
really important to share in a creative way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I try to encourage that. I'm all when people come to me with ideas for things, and a lot of times I people come to me with kind of the same three ideas, you
Right.
know.
Right.
And once I sit down and start talking to them about their life, they end up telling me a story much more interesting than the three ideas that they are pitching to me,
Right.
which are probably based on things that they've seen or things that they think are trendy.
Right.
But it's always when I sit down and talk to an artist about their life, I'm like, that's your movie, that's your
Mm-hmm.
show, that's, you know, that's the guidance I always give, is that we all have something in there to tell. So
And
just
by you telling your
do
story,
it.
you inspired people that are in that line of work, to
Yeah.
not be embarrassed about, doing what they have to do to make ends meet. So I think
Hmm.
that telling that story, your story, sometimes, like you said, we can like want to hide our personal stories for the sake of, oh, it's not trendy enough or it's not popular, but
Hmm.
it really can bless you and other people when you are authentic in telling it. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your real story with us so that we can then, begin to want to share our own. Talk to
Thank
us, Numa,
you. Thank
about
you for
what's right.
saying that.
I'm sorry.
I said, thank you for saying that.
Of course, of course. Talk to us about, this is your first feature film. Talk to
Hmm.
us about some things that you learned, like after the fact. You're like, okay, it's
Hmm.
over, it's all said and done. What did you learn? What were the three takeaways that you took away from that process that you said, okay, I know not to do this, or I know to do this? What are some three things that you learned?
Well, a lot of those things kind of, well, I'll try to speak like business and creative, you
Yeah,
know, because you learn a lot about the business because
yeah.
a feature film is really seen as a commodity, you
Mm-hmm.
know, that can be sold and branded. And a short films can also and do that as well. And you
Mm-hmm.
should look at it that way. But, you know, there's a real business that surrounds feature film making. And a few things, you know, that you should think about are just how you have your paperwork lined up from the very beginning. You know, when everyone's like excited to do the project, get
Right.
your paperwork in order. Don't save that for later, when it could slow you down or cause, you know, clumsiness, awkwardness, or
Mm-hmm.
trouble for you.
Okay.
So just like get your paperwork sorted out from the very with everyone. Like don't get everyone except for your best friend or everyone except for your
Right.
whoever, you know, get everybody
Everyone.
handled.
Mm-hmm.
That was something I definitely had to learn. I had everybody except for a couple people, you know.
Right. Right.
So, you know, things had to get worked out later, and they did. Um, so that's one thing on the business side. On the creative side, I would say, if you're already making short films or short form content, don't think that the feature is going to just be like that, but more days. A feature film requires an expanded vision, and it requires a marathon mindset on how well you control your craft and how long you carry that film all the way through to its debut, to its premiere. Like, you're going to be with that film. Same as a short, it's true,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but you're in it for the long haul with a feature, and you know, you take it seriously in that way. Um, you know, take your craft and the artistry, the vision.
Mm-hmm.
Don't let any details drop, because it's such a long haul, and you're like, oh, I have to take care of this thing now, and this thing's still not done. It's never over, you know. Even
Right.
once you get a distributor, then you have to deliver all of these things to your distributor.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of filmmakers get very overwhelmed with that. It's something you definitely gonna learn. You're
Yeah.
gonna learn about it. But just know that you're in it for the long haul. So just be passionate about it and buckle up for it and see it through. See it all the way through.
Yes, I love that. I love that. Paperwork was the one that I felt like you were like, make sure you get your paperwork in order.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that paperwork is in order,
Yes, it's
y'all.
important.
Yes. Numa. Okay, there you are. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So now, Jezebel, for those who haven't seen it, go watch it on Netflix. It's bomb. It's still on Netflix, I know. So you guys
It's
go
still
watch
on
it.
Netflix. It's
Yeah,
the best thing to be able to say, that. Oh, just go watch it on Netflix. It's on Netflix.
just go stream it as many times as you want to. Just go ahead.
Yeah, just go
That's your go-to.
anytime, any place, baby. Just, you know,
Anytime.
watch it.
And so moving on, because you are pretty busy. Let's discuss your upcoming projects. I'm so
Yay!
excited. So starting with The Perfect Find with Gabrielle Union, you are set to direct. Talk to us a little bit about this project. I'm super excited about this and what we can expect from it.
Me too. I'm really excited because it brings together so many things I love. It's based on a novel written by Tia Williams. There's a lot of Black women on the creative side,
Yes.
behind the scenes of this. So it's based on her book.
Mm-hmm.
Then the script was adapted by Lee Davenport, who's the creator of a new series that's going to be on Stars next year. So it's, you know, Gabrielle Union starring in it. So it's a lot of powerhouse Black women on the team, and the script came to me maybe 6 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been a process, but I got the script, I read it, I
Yay.
loved it. It's provocative, it's funny, it's set in high fashion New York. Yeah, I
Oh,
love
perfect.
fashion. I love New
Same.
York.
Yes.
And it's a story, it's definitely a edgy little rom-com with a really hot love story at the center of it. So, you know, I'm into that. I'm into intimacy, and I'm into relationships and Black
Mm-hmm.
love and how messy that can all get.
Right.
So this film definitely has all of that. And as soon as it's safe for us to go into production, we will.
Okay.
We're looking at, you know, early next year.
Okay.
So yeah, it's an exciting step. It's a big step.
Yes.
Um,
I
you know,
can't wait.
I it's a perfect fit, a perfect find.
Yes, and then it's
um,
Black women led. So
yeah,
you said it's a lot of dope Black women behind the project. Gabrielle Union,
yeah,
you're directing. So look, I'm super excited about it.
me
Do you
too.
know when it's gonna possibly come out, or you don't have any of that
I
information?
do, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say when it's coming out, but it's all slated. So everything
Okay.
is moving forward. Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't tell us. We don't want to know
Yeah, I think that
yet.
might be an internal thing still,
Yeah.
just because of what's going on with the pandemic. That might change, so I don't want to say a date already when we haven't even had our first day on set yet.
Yeah.
But, you know, plans are in order. So that train is moving.
Well, we're excited. That's good news to have come out during quarantine. And that's not the only news. You're also set to direct a thriller series, Toxic, for Macro Television Studios. Talk to us about this project. It's a thriller. What is this going to be about? This is a little different, right?
Yes, it's a little different and
Mm-hmm.
something that I feel very passionate about. So
Yeah.
I'll be starring and directing.
Oh,
Um, and
I
it
love to see.
is, it's an anthology series. And
Mm-hmm.
so each season we focus on a different couple.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but each couple has a toxic relationship.
Okay.
And it's very much an erotic thriller. So it's going to be equal parts erotic and thriller.
Mm-hmm.
So there'll be
Like that.
sex and there'll be scary, and there'll be scary moments in danger. But it's
Wow.
really taking a deep dive into one relationship and
Mm-hmm.
how two people who are very much in love can eventually bring the worst of themselves
Wow.
to the situation. So
Mm-hmm.
that is all I can
That's,
say.
that's juicy, Numa. What? Wait a minute.
But I'm excited. I'm just excited to really dig into the nitty gritty of that and show every single layer that I haven't seen, you know, like really get inside of that relationship. So yeah,
Wow.
stay tuned.
We will. Any date info on that one? Are you gonna be shooting that beginning of next year as well, or
I
just
don't have dates on that yet, but it looks like it won't be this year
okay?
because we're still in the development process, but it's
Okay.
going really well. Um, but probably filming next year, and then I don't know about a debut for it yet.
Well, whatever it is you're doing, we'll be watching. So it doesn't matter. You tweet it, your Instagram it, we'll be there watching and supporting. Before I let you go, Numa, you, like I said, you're a busy woman. And at the beginning, we talked a little bit about just how you're, managing your mental health during the course of this pandemic. I want to
Mhm.
talk to you a little bit about how you're practicing self-care. You're a mom as well. What are you doing to take time just for yourself to say, I know you said like not answering the emails, but are you doing anything specific, like working out, reading a book, writing even? What are you doing to practice self-care during this time?
I think it's changed. I have a few things that I do to kind of blow off steam or,
Mm-hmm.
soothe myself, make myself feel better. Um, I watch a lot of stand-up comedy.
Oh,
So
I
if it's
love it.
anything that just feels like I might laugh, even if it's not the best comedy special, I'll still turn it on just in case there is a laugh in there that I wouldn't have got before. So I try to find ways to keep myself laughing, keep humor
Yeah.
in my house, humor around me. That's one thing. I do some painting.
Oh, you're just the
Painting is
artist, aren't
very
you?
relaxing. Well, it's not, I'm not going to sell any of my painting. I'm not particularly talented as a painter, but I love mixing paints and I
Mm-hmm.
love just, getting it on the canvas and trying stuff out. A very experimental painter. But that is something that I do that soothes me, that relaxes me. And then I really do take my days off when I can get them. I will, with only a little bit of guilt and shame, stay in bed all day for a
Feel
day.
no
You
shame,
know,
girl.
it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard when you're a mom. Like, if she goes to spend time with her dad, I
Mm-hmm.
try to find a day within that time that's no work, just relaxing. But
Yeah.
I've never been successful in that. I always do a little bit of work. Um, but I'll let myself stay in bed and do it. So
Right.
that'll be kind of my self-care. Like I had a day off. I did answer a few emails. I did read a script, but I stayed in bed. I ordered food. I
So
had a day off,
you have balance.
Yeah, and really hot, long showers is my other thing I love.
Oh, wow. I love it. Thank you so much, Numa, for talking to us today. We're so excited. I love your energy. I love your spirit. I love your work. I love what you bring to us, to our culture. Congratulations again. We can't wait to support you. So keep us posted on everything that you're doing. And we'll be right there cheering you on. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you so
Yeah.
much. It's so good to see your pretty face.
Your pretty face too. So see you later.
Your
Thank
pretty
you so
face.
much.
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
Where is the buzz?
Oh,
Where is the buzz you
We
said
used to be
was
a shade room.
mine?
Where is the buzz?
Ooh.